Hello, it's James here from Horse Race Ratings, and this is the tutorial for the System Builder. Now, I'm doing this in Power BI, and there's a reason for me doing that, and that is so I can show members how to kind of look at saving bookmarks. In the desktop version or the Power BI version through the members area, you can use the System Builder, of course you can, but you may not be, you definitely can't save any systems in the standard version. But through the Power BI service, you get that link when you actually sign up to the Pro account. You can save bookmarks. You can also share and view those bookmarks as well, so members can share them. There's a little comment box at the top here. You can actually comment on one of your bookmarks, and that means everybody else within the Horse Race Ratings service in Power BI can also actually view that bookmark. So it's quite a good way to share systems. Okay, so the System Builder, let's click on that. This might go a little bit slower than normal because I am recording the screen as well, but I've got a new kit, so it should be pretty quick. Now I've got something already pre-filtered, but I will clear that down and we will come back to that again. So I'll do this, I'll just clear everything down and we'll start again. Okay, so there looks like there's a huge amount of information here, but it's actually quite straightforward. So just a quick bit of navigation. Back button will take you back to the main menu. This here is a clear all filters button. In the Power BI service, you can actually also just reset to default. It will clear everything off that you've done. Okay, on the left hand side there's a country, direction and headgear filters. Now, I don't really like where these are on here, but I've just left them over from the V8 version and they do their job well enough. Down the bottom on the left hand side are your page tabs, so these will help you kind of move between each of the screens. So there's all kinds of information that you have available at your fingertips. So let's just go back to the main page. Left hand side then as well is new. I've moved all of the rating filters to the left hand side, so they're there for all of the various screens. They used to be at the top, but I've moved them across here. I think it just works slightly better. Top half here from Betfair SP upwards, these are all standard race car type information, so track, type of race, trainer, jockey, even the horses you can look at, etc. And then on the bottom half is actually rating and trainer and jockey performance. Now this looks at the win, strike rates and profits. There's also one there for HRR score. And also the trainer and jockey performance, either the track and code or over a certain time period. So generally I've got 7-day, 40-day and 30-day brackets in here. Now that information is stagnant data. So what I mean by that is on any particular day, whatever the rating was leading into that particular day racing. So for HRR, what the win strike rate was, for example, it takes a look at all of the historic information. It codes that results and performance in to the rating for that day's racing, so it's hard coded and that data is stored in the ratings database. So it'll pull back. So for example, if I wanted to look at any, it doesn't matter what the rating is because we haven't filtered on any ratings here for HRR, but if I wanted to look at say a 50% strike rate, it'll go away and it'll look at any rating that has a 50% strike rate and they'll pull back that information. Now most of that, so you'll see here, even though on that particular day or any day's race where there was a 50% strike rate, the overall win rate was only 23.3. So, but it's a good way to actually look at how well ratings actually perform. Okay, let's just clear that back to 0. What I'm going to do very quickly though is I'm going to just concentrate on HRR1 just to speed up the tutorial, and I'm going to look at beginner chases. So this is obviously National Hunt. So we'll see now, I've selected number 1, I've hard coded 1 from a HRR Pro standpoint, and I've hard coded in beginner's chase. So we'll see here it performs pretty well from a strike rate standpoint, and it's got a healthy return of £66 to £1 level stake. That includes a 2% Betfair commission, so it's pretty good. And then down the bottom you get some other information, and this is new. So it tells me that the biggest SP in that range was 29.0 and the average winning price is 3.5, and it gives me some information on the place markets as well. So the reason why I've added this in, so if you want to try and achieve, you know, an average winning SP of say 5.0, you can kind of mess around with the system builder to achieve that. But if you also want to then remove any big winners that can kind of make a system look better than what it is from a profit perspective, you know, you don't want to have too many, like 1 or 2 big price 200 or 300 SP winners, because that could make, but if you take those out, then obviously the profit's going to drop, but you might still have a really decent strike rate. So it's just a really good visual summary on the bottom of the system builder now. So that's the main page. Score filters is almost identical. It's just at the top there are score buckets, so obviously each of the ratings has a score. I do need to add in here HRR Pro, but there is a score, so you know, you can actually select, you know, different scores for each of, you know, so where a HRR1 was ranked, or HRR Pro, so HRR rating was between 600 and 800, I can select those 3, it will go away and pull back that information. I tend not to use that, I'll be honest. I don't really use that a great deal myself, but it is there for members to be able to use. The view all ratings P&L, so what this does, this gives you all of the rating categories and it pulls back all of the information, but in relation to HRR Pro 1. So for example, if I select number 2, it'll update all of the charts and how they're linked to HRR Pro 2. So let's go back to number 1 because that's what I want to concentrate on. And you can see here there's one clear standout here. If you look at the strike rate, so HR's rate, that means for strike rate rating. I probably should name these something slightly different, to be honest. But you can see here when HRR Pro 1 is linked with HRR rate number 3, you get a 60% strike rate with a big return. I'm not going to filter on that just yet, but as an example, just very, very quickly, sorry, wrong one, for rate, and then number 3. So when you do that, you can see how well it performed, and it's actually very, very solid all around. You can actually improve on it ever so slightly by removing, but I probably wouldn't remove anything else because you're going to get down to too low a level. That, to me, on its own right, is a really, really solid system. It's probably quite heavily influenced by Irish racing, I would imagine, but that's a really, really solid system to have. But just for the purpose of the tutorial, so as it, for example, what you can do, and I'll do this now, if I put number 3 back in, if I go to the results qualifiers, well, I'm just going to do this as a side note. What this will now do is it'll pull back all of the qualifiers, so that's all 23 qualifiers there, and it'll give you all of the races, you know, what the position they came, what the, you know, what the forecasted odds were, what the SP was. You can actually see here the forecasted odds are pretty decent. A couple of nice ones. Ronald Pump, 13 went off at 18. That was quite nice. It's a Long Road, forecasted at 8, goes off at 16. That was a nice winner. But you can see all of the results there for that. Now, if I wanted to save this system within the system builder or within Power BI, you've got a little bookmark element up here. If I just click on the down arrow, I can add personal bookmark, and I can see in here beginners. Might help if I could spell. Beginners chase. I'd like not to leave, and I can save that. So what I can do now, if I was to just clear these filters down, this will take me back to the main page and I'll clear all my filters I've selected. What I can do, if I go back now, if I just click on beginners chase here, it'll pull in my system. Now, if there was a qualifier for Saturday's racing, or if there was a runner today for the 29th, it would pull back that information. So as long as you just leave the date, the end date free, and you don't kind of, you can always do the from date, but just always leave the end date as today's date. It'll always update. So if there's a runner on Sunday, for example, the 1st of November, it'll pull back that runner in here, and that's how you see the qualifiers for your system. Okay, I've got that bookmarked now, so I will keep an eye on that one. Now, what we can do from here is you can then go through kind of the code chart. So we know this is kind of a limited number of runners, but you can see, I'll actually go back to the date chart, sorry. On each of the kind of charts, the bar charts, you can actually drill through. So you can notice here, when I'm doing this, there's a little white menu bar flashes up. So there are various options in the bar charts. I can drill down, so I can select that one, so it's highlighted. That means I can drill into any of the green boxes. So if I look at 2020, seeing as that was the best performing year to date, it'll pull back the monthly performance of the ratings. If I go in again for September, it'll look at the race dates. So there was 2 race dates. There was the 18th and the 23rd. If I wanted to see what track was on the 18th, it'll give me the track, and I can go down again to see who the horse was. So it goes down to that level. Now there is a tooltip as well. So if I was just to highlight over, so not click on it, but just hover the mouse over, or your cursor, it'll actually tell you how many runners there were in that particular period, how many runners, how many winners, what the strike rate is, and what the Betfair profit or losses as well at the high level. The next one is a hierarchy drill. So it's like drill down, but it does it on a hierarchy basis. So if I do that, what it will do now is it'll go across all of the years, so from 2019 to 2021, and it'll aggregate the performance by month. And then again, if I go down further, it'll aggregate the performance by a day of the month. And then you can go down again, and it'll aggregate it by track. And if you go down again, it'll give it to you by obviously the horse name. So you can see there's all 23 of the qualifiers. Okay, now the next one is quite a good one. This is the one that I prefer to use quite often. Is if I expand down on this, what this will do is it'll actually split the drill down. So it won't aggregate it like the hierarchy drill down. This is the expanded hierarchy, which means it'll give you month by month, year by year, so you actually get the full timeline. And again, you can go down, it'll give you the race dates, and again, if you go down, it'll give you the race dates and the tracks down to horse name, etc. So it's quite a good way. The reason why I think that's important is if you've got a particular month that's recurring, that's poor performance, you can just unselect it from here. You can select all and say September was poor. You could drop September out of that, so you know that on a particular system, I don't want to be running that system in a particular month. Now, one thing to remember on the date charts, if you drill down into a particular year or month, it's going to carry that over the rest of the pages. So make sure you do go back to the top level, or you expand down on the hierarchy, so you still got all of the relevant data for each of the years across. Okay, code charts, and again, that's the same for any filter. So any filter you select, it'll carry all that filter across all of the different tabs here. Okay, so code charts, we'll look at kind of the code. So obviously we've selected beginner's chase. There's only 2 types of class that we've got qualifiers in here for under HRR Pro and rate number 3. So what I'm going to do for the purpose of the rest of this tutorial is remove rate number 3. So you can see now it's pulled in class 4 as well now. So obviously we've lost a bit of the profit, but we've got more runners just to kind of analyze the data on. Again, there's some day charts here as well, just to help out with some of that information for you. Then we've got track and distance. So this is obviously a national hunt, beginner's chase, but you can see here we can look at the direction. So obviously this is obviously a bit better going right-handed, even though the strike rate's better left-handed. It's not as profitable. You know what? How well this particular system runs. So HRR Pro number 1 in a beginner's chase. How well it does on the going, and how well it works on the distances as well. And again, you know, if you were to hard code any of this information in, so if we looked at, say, let's look at say distance there, we can see 2 miles 2 furlongs. If I was to hard code that in as a filter, it'll just pull back on that information and everything updates. Okay, let's go back and select all on there. Okay, and then we've got WSR, which is wind strike with filters. I will come on to that shortly. So back to results and qualifiers. You'll see here now there was a qualifier under HRR Pro 1 just in beginner's chase today, and that was Grand Paradis, who actually probably would have won today, but he came down at the last. That was a really good race. Vanillier, I think, done pretty well in that race as well. I think what you can do on here is you can actually drill through on the results and qualifiers. When it's a bit like the race card, you can actually drill through. So if you have got a system and you have got a runner, if you just right click, go to drill through and click on historic race drill, it will actually pull back the race card for that particular day. So you can see Grand Paradis was top rated by quite some way. As I said, was massively unlucky, falling at the last. The winner was Lifetime Ambition. Thought Lifetime Ambition was pretty decent, but again, it was a very, very good race. I think Lifetime Ambition probably just got the slightly better ride, bit of a waiting ride, and I thought Vanillier, who I really like as a horse, actually Vanillier, I think he was very good last year. I think he would be the horse, I think in the long term, I think could be the best of these, because that trip for him today was a little bit short. I think as soon as he gets stepped up to 2 miles 6 plus, I think he's going to take some stopping Vanillier. He's definitely one to watch for more of the staying chases. So that gives you an idea of the system builder as a whole. And as I said, you can filter on everything you want to do on here. So for example, if we just wanted to pick up Henry de Bromhead as a trainer on this particular system, you know, you can do that. And let's say now I wanted to update my bookmark to reflect that, I can just go to beginner's chase and I can update it there. And that means now it'll remember this view. If you wanted to save it as a new bookmark, you can do that. Now just remember, for pro members, you can only do 20 bookmarks for each of the builders, hence why we've got an all-weather builder, a national hunt builder, so you can save up to 80 different systems across the builders. Okay, so I'm just going to unselect Henry de Bromhead from here, because I want to show you the new feature, which is the wind strike rate filters. And I'm going to update my system there, because I want to keep that one for future use. Okay, so wind strike rate filters. So what we have here, now I tend not to worry too much about the track. I tend not to worry too much about the cat type and class filters, so I probably already would have done that. The three areas that I really like to concentrate on are trainer, jockey and stallion. Now what you can see here is I've already got a filter marker already on here, but it hasn't been applied yet. Now my filter marker here was kept over from, I was just getting this ready for the tutorial. On the top bar, if I reset that, let me reset that. Okay. So for trainer, on the top bar here, there's a little menu that comes up, a little 3-bar menu, same like you get on like an iPhone or smartphone. Now, I want to select a wind striker that's greater than 20%. Now this is numeric percentages, so 20% would be 0.2, 100% would be 1.0. And I just want that one. I don't want to do and or. I just want to do anything greater than 0.2, pull back those trainers. I'll apply that. I can just click off on the black bar at the top. Now, as you can see now, every single number here, trainer, in this system is greater than 20%. Now, I want to apply that, so I select all. Now, watch this on the bottom here. So that has now got rid of all of the trainers in that system who had a strike rate, who's got a strike rate up until this point of less than 20%. Now, from a historic standpoint, it'll obviously give you really good returns, but what it does mean is when trainers are performing pretty well for the future, you would expect to get quite a few winners come through. So it's a really, really good filter to do that for kind of future races, because you've already built a system around historic data, but now you're really honing in on that. Now I've already got my filters applied here, so you can see the little filter markers here. So I've done exactly the same. It's 20%. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to select all the jockeys who've got a strike rate of 20%. Now, what this will do, this will go away now and optimize itself. So it'll flash around a little bit and the filter markers will disappear off and then they'll come back again. So this is now, you just need to give it a little bit of time. So this is actually now going away and it's optimizing itself. So you see it's flashing around a bit. And then when the little bars stop turning and the filter marker comes back, you know you're good to go. Okay, so you can now see this is updated again. And then finally, I'm going to select, because I've already got it pre-filtered again, I'm going to select all of the stallions. So this will now go away again, it'll re-optimize, you can see everything flashing around. The filter marker has disappeared off trainer. That's going to optimize itself. That's come back. Now the jockey has disappeared, but it's going to optimize itself again. Just give it a few minutes or a few seconds for the filter marker to reappear and for the select all to be done. There we go. So everything there now is now updated. Now what you will find is when you do that, just have a spot check around the three areas that you filtered. Now you'll see here, I've got Davy Russell and Keith Donoghue. They've both unselected. Now if I just click on select all again, it'll highlight those two back in and it'll go away again and it'll re-optimize itself. It's a very, very, very clever tool because it will go away, it will rerun, check the database, and it'll pull any qualifiers in as you kind of re-optimize. So I'm just going to wait now for the stallion filter to update itself. Now sometimes if you've got a system that's got a huge amount of runners, I have noticed it can kind of just fall over a little bit. So you just need to be a little bit patient with it on some. Okay, that's now done. So the three filter markers are back and there's no kind of whirring anywhere. Now we can see now that Gavin Cromwell has actually come back in. So let me select Gavin Cromwell. But as you optimize, it actually does get a lot quicker. So that's done it already. Now, and we've got Azarabad. I think is probably the only one in there left. Yeah. Okay. So Azarabad, or Starabad actually, will go away, and I'll just go back now and do a final check on optimization. So let's wait for the jockey filter to update. There we go. It's updated. Just wait for the filter. Okay, the filter's there. Wait for the whirring to stop everywhere else. There we go. It's now updated. Okay. So now, when we started, we had 383 runners, and we had a fairly decent strike rate and about 64% pound profit. By doing that historically, this is going to look inflated. But what this will now do is when you look at this system moving forward for just HRR1 Pro in a beginner's chase, you know that when a trainer or a jockey and a stallion, that combination with 20% or greater, you're going to have a very, very realistic high chance of that horse is going to run a very, very good race. So we can go back to the view results, qualifiers in here. This will pull back all of these. Oh, again, Grand Paradis was still a qualifier. Yes, it did fall. But you know that you've got a fully optimized system based on trainer, jockey and stallion performance. kind of outside of the ratings. So it just means that you're getting rid, because what happens sometimes, and I'll use it as a good example, particularly on the all-weather or the flat, it can also happen on the jumps as well, but if you've got a trainer who's often got a horse who's top rated, they might have a really, really poor strike rate. There are a few out there, that they can have horses who do perform really, really well, but when they get to a top rated position, they don't run as well. You might get trainers like Mick Appleby, for example. He's probably you're probably better backing off his horses when they're ranked 3, 4, and 5, because they're probably slightly better handicapped. But then they'll win a couple of races, and then when they get to the top of the ratings, they won't run as well. So that's a reason for doing that across the rating categories, particularly towards the top of the ratings. So it's a really, really good tool to use, is the win strike rate filter. But that's how you can use that, and obviously you can do it to your heart's content. Just show a little bit of patience as it optimizes itself, because it goes back and they were pulling new qualifiers as you go through that process. And that's the system builder. As I said, you can filter down to any kind of level. Just remember, anything that you select on any of the filter boxes would be hard filtered, and it will carry across all of the pages. And then on the view results and qualifiers, if you have a runner on any particular day, it will appear at the top, as long as you kind of keep the date on the top, kind of, you haven't messed around with that date. If you've got it on today's date, it will remember today's date for the future. It's if you put it to a historic date, it won't kind of update that date. Okay, and that's it for the system builder. I know that was a bit of a whistle-stop tour, but it's something not to be afraid of. I actually tend myself to keep it quite simple, and I think the win strike rate filter is a really, really key new addition to that. And I know, join the Telegram group if you're not already in there, because a lot of members have some good systems that they put the selections up each day in there, and believe you me, I follow some of them as well. If you do follow them, you will make profit and you will make money. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed the tutorial. Any questions, obviously just ask on email or ask them on the Telegram group. But that is the system builder, and I hope you make use of that. Thank you.